Hello again, this is Hobby Robbie, and I am here to do a review on another one of my Sonic the Hedgehog 20th anniversary figures. This is the Tails and Grabber that debuted in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And Grabber was a badnik from the Chemical Plant Zone. Because of that, the packaging design featured Chemical Plant Zone in the background. So it's kind of neat. It is a smaller package, obviously, than the Sky Sanctuary Zone that was part of the Dr. Robotnik package, but it's still pretty nice, and it might be something you want to hang on to. So yeah, I already opened this a few days ago, and I didn't think to do an online review at the time, so this isn't really an unboxing so much, just as it is a review of the figures. So these are the two figures that come along with the package. Basically, Tails and the badnik. Tails is, I think at least Jazwares markets this is like part of the 3-inch collection, and yeah, I guess he's about 3 inches tall. This is a very good figure of Tails. I especially like the kind of classic design. I mean, Tails hasn't changed as much over the years as Sonic has when you compare classic Sonic to modern Sonic, but there's still some noticeable things, like he does look a little more childlike, and his eyes aren't colored in. I believe modern Tails has blue eyes, I could be wrong. So anyway, this is a real nice figure for that. He's got the two tails, of course. They spin. As far as the rest of his body's articulation, his head turns. He can move his arms back and forth. They have kind of a ball and socket joint and also a hinge joint. The hinge joint, because his head is so large, you can't really do much with a hinge joint, but it's still there. And his fists also rotate. His body rotates at the waist. This is always a nice feature, but in some ways I kind of wish that Jazwares could do it more subtly than they do, because it always creates that white stripe right down the belly. Don't know if you can see it, but I mean, that's kind of a minor gripe, and the fact that you get to rotate him makes up for it for sure. His legs also have that same kind of ball and socket rotation, as well as the hinge joint. Because this is such a small figure, he doesn't bend at the knee. And that's not really a problem, because when you get to legs that are this small, I mean, adding another joint just makes it more fragile. Speaking of fragileness, whenever these are packaged, they are always wrapped in the back of the plastic with kind of a clear rubber band. I talked about it a little bit in my review of the Dr. Robotnik figures. Let's see, I haven't opened this one yet. I'll go ahead and review this classic Sonic probably later tonight, maybe over the weekend. But in the back, whenever they tie it down to the plastic, they tie it down with these rubber bands. And that's all fine and dandy, but those rubber bands are transparent, and so it's kind of hard to see them. Because this Tails figure was the first one I got, I didn't see it. So it kind of jacked his foot out of place a little bit. Now, maybe it did originally come like that, but I distinctly remember trying to pull Tails out of the package, and doing so kind of bent his foot a little more than it should have normally. So that's something to be aware of. That's not really Jazwares' fault. It's kind of my own, I guess my own ignorance at the time. But thankfully, because of his tails, even if you do have a slightly out of position leg, he still stands up pretty well, because he's got the support of those two tails on the back. I know, I actually had these in the office for a while, and I had Sonic posing like he was running, and then I think I just laid this in front of him and had Sonic, my 5-inch Sonic, running in front of him. And I actually like pairing this 3-inch Tails up with this 5-inch Sonic, because from what I remember from Sonic 2, they did have a distinct height difference, and the 3-inch Sonic is a little more too similar to Tails than I would like in the height department. So, anyway, yeah, the posability makes for a lot of fun different poses, so high points to Jazwares for the articulation. Also, the feet rotate. When I rotate this right leg forward, it kind of creates a little, you can't really see it, but it kind of like almost folds up the leg part against the body, so I don't do it as much. And besides, that was the leg that got kind of messed up with the rubber band. But overall, I'm extremely pleased with this figure. This might even be my favorite figure so far. Like, I like the Eggmen a lot, but the fact that the Eggmen have trouble standing on their own kind of hampers their score. But I mean, so far of the things that I've opened, the Tails and the Grabber, Robotnik and the Egg Robos, and then the 5-inch Sonic, I've really enjoyed all of them. I'll go over the 5-inch Sonic in a later review. There's not as much to him. As for the badnik, I like the detail on him, and Chemical Plant Zone being one of the more iconic Sonic levels. Grabber is a pretty memorable badnik. Now, my one gripe on the badniks, not just Grabber, but in this entire collection, in the games, they weren't this much smaller than the main characters. Like when Grabber is less than half the height of Tails, I mean, he doesn't really all look that threatening. I mean, he does look like a big bug, but from what I remember in the video game, he was about the same size, if not bigger than Sonic and Tails, and he'd come down and he'd grab their entire body, you know, cause them to lose rings and all that. So, you know, that's my main. If there's any gripe I have with these 3-inch collections, it's that the fact that the badniks are so small. But when you think about it, most people are buying the badniks, or they're buying these anniversary collections, not so much for the badniks, that they're a plus, but more for the characters. So I mean, it makes sense as part of a. It makes sense that you wouldn't buy a Sonic the Hedgehog thing for the accessory figure, if you will, as much as the main figure. When I had these in the office, I actually tied this Grabber up to a string and had him hanging down kind of in front of Sonic and Tails as if like they were going to encounter each other. I untied the string for the sake of this review, but it's something you can very easily do, especially with this little kind of ball on top of Grabber. And just like the Egg Robos, he doesn't really have anything in the way of articulation. It's kind of flat and plastic. The Egg Robos, of course, their arms at least moved, but the advantage to the Grabber is that he can stand on his own. Oh, I guess he falls forward, but it's less prominent than with the Egg Robo because, well, I guess because the Egg Robo is shaped like a, you know, a bipedal humanoid figure or whatever you want to call it. So anyway, yeah, I give both these figures high marks. I know in my last review I gave Robotnik a 10 and the Egg Robos a 9. I'm probably going to drop down the Egg Robo to an 8, mainly because of the 1 not being able to stand and 2 not being able to hold the gun in place. So, I mean, other than that, it's good. It stands right now, but he'll fall over in like 20 seconds or so, trust me. So anyway, with that in mind, I'd probably give this Grabber about an 8. He does fall forward, and he's not as large as I would like him to be. That's the main thing keeping him from a 10. Other than that, he's a great figure, and he's one of my favorite badniks. Because, I mean, for as long as I've played Sonic 2, these guys will still get me all these years later. Tails himself, I would give a 10, just because of the detail on the face. There was one review complaining, I don't remember if it was about this specific figure, but it was about one Tails figure with his mouth open, but, I mean, that doesn't really bother me. I mean, if anything, it kind of adds a little more personality than that slight little smile that Sonic usually gets. So, I'd definitely give Tails a 10 out of 10. I mean, he's got the great tails, his shoes look nice, the articulation's all over the place, he's even got that, you know, tuft of hair. in front. And yeah, he's pretty cool. You could even maybe string him up if you wanted. I probably won't do that because I kind of like him running, but anyway, yeah. So 1992 Tails and Grabber. Definitely give Grabber an 8 out of 10 and Tails a 10 out of 10. This figure, this one was the first one I got, and I believe God, where did I get this one? I think I got this one at Target. Target will sell them for $7.99, and Toys R Us will sell them for $9.99. Now, this is irrelated to this this specific figure, but the one reason why, basically the only reason besides having the exclusives like the Dr. Eggman set that they came out with, that I would go to Toys R Us instead of Target, is sometimes kids mess around with toys there. So I don't want to say I stole something, but there was basically, the last time I went to Toys R Us and I was looking in the Sonic section, which is how I bought the Dr. Robotnik and then also the Sonic I'll review later, is that there was a figure out like this. It wasn't empty, you know, just use your imagination. But it was the modern Sonic, which I didn't really care for, and there was a badnik in there, which happened to be this guy. I don't remember his name. But anyway, you know, it was just laying there, and it was missing the back part with the barcode and all that, so it's not like they could scan it. So, you know, I basically kind of shook it around a little, and I took the badnik out. So I kind of benefited from previous kids, I guess, being naughty and trying to steal toys or whatever. So, sorry Toys R Us if you're watching this video, but that's one perk to shopping at Toys R Us. Now, does it offset the $2 difference between the figures that Target sells them for? I mean, that's up to the individual consumer, but I thought it was, in my mind, I thought it'd be kind of nice having at least another badnik, even if I didn't want the new Sonic. Anyway, that's a side note. As for the Tails, I got them at Target. Target, the figures are probably going to be a lot harder to find nowadays than they are at Toys R Us. But they do sell them cheaper, and if you find one, you find one. So yeah, definitely recommend this Tails. And it's probably the best classic Tails figure out there, if not the only one. And the Grabber is obviously the only Grabber out there. And like I said, definitely think about stringing him up from a string and having him kind of hover around above Sonic or whatever you have his prey as. So yeah, this is Hobby Robbie with another Sonic 20th Anniversary review. Thanks for watching.